Today on Capitol Conservatives, the Senate Judiciary Committee saw a heated debate. Senator John Kennedy confronted witnesses on gender, biology, and fairness in sports. It quickly became one of the most intense exchanges on Capitol Hill this year. As the hearing began, Senator Kennedy leaned forward and asked a question on many Americans' minds. Do I understand your position to be that there are two sexes, but more than two genders? Ms. Robinson explained that sex is biological, but gender is expansive and evolving. Kennedy pressed, "Are there more than two sexes?" Robinson mentioned intersex individuals but didn't give a direct answer. The exchange grew tense as Robinson argued gender is fluid and constantly changing.
Senator Kennedy.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you all of our witnesses here today. Ms. Robinson, I want to follow up by trying to understand your answer to one of Senator Cruz's questions. And if this is really a question, not a suggestion. Do I understand your position to be that there are two sexes, but there can be more than two genders?
I wouldn't even say two, and we've got Dr. Lopez here as well, but there's also the definition of intersex. I think that often in these conversations we're conflating sex and gender, and I do want to affirm here that trans women are women. That is their gender.
Okay, but I'm trying to understand, do you make a distinction between sex and gender?
Yes, sir.
Okay, explain that. Do you think there are more than two sexes?
I believe that there's a definition for intersex as well that I want to acknowledge, but sex is a sign of birth.
I'm just trying to understand. I'm thoroughly confused. So you're born, I'm talking about biology. Male, and what else?
I believe that intersex is also acknowledged, but again, I'm not a doctor here. What I can
and
say
what is intersex?
Is that there's a difference between sex and gender, and I think in these conversations we're conflating the two.
Well, but I want to start with sex. Okay, there's male, there's female. When a baby's born, before the baby has had time to even have a sense of self, there's male, female, and intersex. There's a third sex.
I believe that is true, but I would defer to Dr. Lopez as I'm not a physician.
Okay.
Kennedy paused, confused but calm. He asked, "Let's go back to biology. Male, female, boy, girl. Do males have a biological advantage in sports?" Robinson refused a direct answer, saying she wasn't a doctor. Kennedy pressed, "How many female NBA players do you see?" If you care about fairness in women's sports, comment below and subscribe. Riley Gaines, a former NCAA swimmer, brought real-world experience, speaking out about competing against biological males and the unfairness she saw firsthand. Gaines emphasized this is about fairness and protecting women's rights in athletics.
And how many genders are there?
I think the gender is expansive, and the definitions are always growing. Today I can tell you, I talk to young people that talk about non-binary as
more than five.
I think the gender is not a binary, is what I'm trying to say.
Are there more than five genders? I'm just trying to understand. Are there more than five genders?
Well, I think that there was a time where women wearing pants didn't feel like it was appropriate for their gender, and yet I'm wearing pants today. I think that there are ways that we express our gender that are expansive.
Are there more than five?
I wouldn't subject myself to naming how many genders there are, but what I can say is that gender is a reflection. Excuse me?
There's an infinite number of genders?
I think depending on your culture, there are a lot of different genders that exist. And I can also say that it's a term that's evolving. If you look at young people today, they really don't lean into the binary of only woman and man. So I think that it's incumbent upon us not to legislate on this, but create space for them to explore what their identities are, what their gender identities are.
All right, let's get back to athletics. I think I understand what you're saying. There are three sexes, male, female, and intersex.
I believe that to be true, but again, I'm not a physician.
And there are an infinite number of gender, because gender is a mental state.
Gender is about expression, and I think that there are a variety of ways that you can express your gender.
Okay, so there's infinite number. All right, let's go back to the biology. Male, female, boy, girl, okay? Biologic. Do males have an advantage over females biologically in sport?
I'm not a physician, and I can't speak to that.
What's your real world experience?
It depends. There are some people who are born male that I'm faster than if I were to sprint against them, and some that I'm not. Some males that are taller than some women, and some that are shorter.
You don't believe that a biological male has a physical advantage in sports over a biological female?
Not as a definitive statement.
Give me an example. Well, no, I don't think. How many female members of the NBA do you see?
I can say that, there's been this news article about men that think that they could beat Serena Williams in tennis, right? That they think that they could actually score a point on her. And it's just not the case. She is stronger than that.
What's your experience, Ben? Male, female?
Both Serena and Venus lost to the 203rd ranked male tennis player, which they're phenoms for women. My experience, my husband, he swam at University of Kentucky as well. In terms of accolades and in terms of national national ranking, I was a much better swimmer than him. He could kick my butt any day of the week without trying.
Okay.
As the hearing ended, Senator Kennedy delivered powerful closing remarks. He stated, "You lose credibility when you don't concede biological males have physical advantages over females. Defending women's sports," he said, "is about fairness and truth, not denying anyone's dignity." This moment was about reality versus ideology. Many Americans wonder, how did truth become controversial? Kennedy's questions showed how far this debate has drifted from common sense. He stood firm, echoing what millions believe but few in Washington say. Click subscribe and join Capitol Conservatives, holding Washington accountable.
I just think, Ms. Robinson, I'm trying to understand where you're coming from. I think you lose a lot of credibility when you don't concede that a biological male has physical advantages over a biological female. I mean, I just think that's a proven fact, and you really hurt your credibility. I understand you want it to be a better place. I do too, and I don't think people ought to be discriminated against because of an immutable characteristic. I don't. And I think that I think everybody ought to be free to be themselves. And what you do in your bedroom or what I do in my bedroom with a consenting adult is nobody's business. But if what I do in my bedroom with a consenting adult, if I decide I want to tell somebody's child about it, then other people have rights too. I think parents have rights. And I think biological females have rights to be able to compete fairly in sports. So I really think you hurt your credibility when you refuse to acknowledge that biological males have an advantage over biological female. It kind of makes me wonder about all your testimony. Thank you, Mr.
Senator
Chairman.
Kennedy. Sorry, go ahead.
What I'm trying to say is that there is not a definitive advantage in all cases. Sir, I don't know if you believe that you could beat Serena Williams in tennis, but I probably think that that's not the case. There are not all cases where all men are physically superior to all women. And at the end of the day, in this conversation, we're not talking about that. We're talking about trans women who are, in fact, women, who deserve to play in a gender that matches their sports, who deserve all the benefits that Ms. Gaines is talking about. And as a cisgender black woman, I can say definitively that my womanhood is not threatened by a transgender person asserting hers as well.
Senator Hirono.
Today's hearing proved that clarity and courage still have a voice in Congress. Senator Kennedy spoke for every American tired of political double talk. Like and subscribe. The fight for truth needs us